Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how, and this is increasingly, it was once rare, now it's sort of happening all the time, where two parties to a business contract or a business deal, and one decides they want to exit the deal, not for any particular reason, can't be bothered, change their mind, reckon they found some cheaper way of doing it, or they want to postpone it, or an accountant in the back room's cut the budget, and it could be anything. But they've entered into the business deal. They've committed to either pay money for services to be rendered, or pay for the services to be rendered, either one. So anyway, they want to get out of it now. The go-to method of escaping from these things isn't to sit down and talk and say, hey, look, the situation's changed. I know we've, committed to pay you, 100,000 or $1 million or whatever the amount is if the contract's broken. But can we cut some sort of a deal here? Instead of 100,000, can we give you 50? And, can we just work something out? And, let's stay friends and do business again tomorrow or the next day. And now that would be the way I would do it. But in fact, that's a fairly rare approach now. Very few people are prepared to sit down and, can we talk? Can we talk this through? Can we discuss it? Can we try and, work something out that is acceptable to both parties and that sort of thing? So I would do it that way, and I think that's the sensible and standard way of doing it, but not anymore. If you want to get out of a contract or an agreement, what the go-to thing is now is to allege not a misdeed in terms of poor quality work, for example, or not delivering on time, or any failure to satisfy the terms of the contract, but rather to say, well, one of your people has made a racist comment to Shaniqua, and we can't have that. We'll have to. There's nothing we can do. We'll have to take it to the courts, and there'll be fines, and police will be involved, and your name will be mud in the industry, and so on. Those sorts of threats, or alternatively, one of your staff tried to rape Shaniqua, or something like that. So it's that type of stuff. So anyway, this is we had a situation where a customer or a client was saying, okay, we need to talk to you about something, but we can't tell you what. We can't discuss it over the phone. We can't put it in an email or something else, or a letter or anything like that. You have to come to a meeting, and we'll tell you, and we can only handle this face to face. And okay, well, this meeting, who's going to be there? We can't tell you. Okay, so let's get this right. You can't. You say there's an important meeting that we must attend, vitally important, but you can't tell us what the meeting's about, or even the basic subject matter, so we can't prepare. By definition, this is going to be an ambush when we walk in the door. And you can't tell us who's going to be at the meeting. Now, whenever, like in this corporate situation where they won't tell you what's going to be at the meeting, then you can almost know that their corporate lawyers are going to be there. That as soon as they say, as soon as they won't tell you he's going to be there, you can almost guarantee those guys are going to be there. Now, that when I can't tell you on the phone, can't even tell you what the subject is, but it's important you have to come. And if you don't come, then we're going to allege you're in breach of the contract, that type of stuff. So that you're going to be ambushed by something. Now, I've been around long enough to see that sort of scenario developing. So there's particular clients, and the client, you can tell by the moves they're starting to make, and the tone and so on of the emails and the correspondence. Generally, you can tell they're building up to a situation where they want to wriggle out of the contract, and they don't want to pay. Otherwise, they'd be up front and they'd sit down and they talk with you, or they pay you. So pay you to break the contract. Now, I mean, just in round numbers, let's suppose the payout clause is $100 for breaking the contract. Now, we've already committed $40 already in forward expenditures beyond what we've already been paid for. So if they said, look, we're in a real tight fix, we've got a real problem, but we're going to have more business for you next month or next quarter or something like that. But if we give you $50 instead of 100, can we shake hands and sort of call it quits? It's in our interest and my interest to go, yeah, sure, that's okay. I mean, what happens sometimes, these things happen. We're out of pocket $40, so they get 50. We keep our shirts. We don't make the sort of profit that we think we should on this sort of thing, but it keeps them sweet. We're kind of happy. No one's upset. There's no bad blood, and you do business later on, next quarter, next year, whatever it might be. And it's better to keep things that way. It's better that they see us, as both parties see the other as being reasonable and wanting to talk and wanting to, not necessarily protect the interests of the other, but be mindful of the other party's interests. Because you screw the other guy, and it just doesn't work out. No one's going to be happy with that, and you'll always be looking over your shoulder in case the guy's going to try and screw you back, or that type of thing. So anyway, I can see this sort of thing developing, whereas younger hands or younger players may not. So when I heard about this, you got to go to the meeting, and threats if you don't, and when I can't tell you what the meeting's about, yes, and I just knew, because straight away I knew the scenario. So I then looked at the email correspondence, and sure enough, you can tell that they're building up to try and wriggle out of it. So I thought, no, I'll jump in on this one, and so I did, and so you front the meeting, and sure enough, there's the lawyers are there, and the vice president of purchasing, or that sort of thing. There's the sort of people there, and they give you the hard stare when you walk in the door, and then it's look, one of your people tried to rape Shaniqua, or said something inappropriate, or said something racist, and that sort of thing. So that comes up. And we can keep the lawyers at bay. We can keep the wolves away, but you're just going to have to walk away from this contract, buddy, without payment, any further payment, which is going to be cheap for you. I mean, the legal cost could run into the gazillions, and you don't really want that, do you? And again, I've been around long enough to know, yeah, right, sure it is. And so they're pretty confident they can scare you to just walk away. They can save themselves the $100,000, go off and do whatever else they want to do, or not do anything in the case they've sort of lost interest. And you just have to suck it up. And if you don't like it, that's too fucking bad. Now, again, I've been around long enough to know. No, look, it's a very, very serious matter, this allegation of rape or whatever. It's very serious, and it must be heard in a court of law in front of a judge and a jury. I insist on this, because whoever's responsible should go to prison for this. They must. Justice must be done, and it must go to a court of law, where people can be sent to prison for perjury. Perjury is very serious. And I'm sure that the people that you're involved with are going to get on the stand, be cross-examined by some pretty high-powered lawyers, and they're going to be able to hold up under that sort of cross-examination. I mean, if it were to happen that they were committing perjury, or worse still, there was conspiracy to commit perjury, then that's a very serious offence as well. People go to prison for that. Can go to prison for telling lies under oath, on the stand, under cross-examination in front of the judge. And I think we should take this matter to court. I think the judge should hear it. Now, by this stage, their jaws are dropping, the colour's draining from their faces, and they're thinking, holy fuck, he wasn't supposed to call our bluff. He was supposed to go down like a sack of shit. And here he is calling our bluff, and, whoa, what do we do now? And so you push back on them and insist the matter's heard in a court of law. The police should be notified. This sort of thing. Now, who was it? Oh, I can't tell you who it was. Well, which person was it that got raped or threatened with this, or racist? Oh, we can't tell you. Well, when did it happen? Oh, we haven't got the information here. Well, how serious has the person, is the person under have they gone into psychiatric care? I mean, the stress this must be causing them. I mean, they must be under full-time care as we speak. I mean, this is very, very serious. We should be sending them flowers and grapes. Oh no, well, they're managing so far. And you go, okay, well, what would you like to do now? Well, I don't think we need to, really take this any further. I think we can just sort this out between us, and that's how it goes. I'm sitting there sort of looking as concerned and as easy to get on with as possible. I'm thinking, you fucking flim-flams, you sleazy motherfucker fucks. Why didn't you just sit down and talk? Why do you have to use flavour of the month threats on race and racism and rape and this, that, the next thing, protecting women, and said something misgendered in LGBT? Why do you have to do that? Just to get out of a fucking business contract you morons couldn't manage properly. But this sort of thing is real GoTo. So the message here is that don't let these people push you around. If they've got decent evidence, then fine, they've got a point. But if they're using that as a bargaining chip to get out of paying you what you're supposed to be paid, that is to wriggle out of the contract. My suggestion is don't put up with it. The younger people who are sort of terrified of offending or upsetting anybody, they might they're mostly going to go down fall to pieces under that sort of duress and those sort of threats, as indeed I would if I was in my 20s. But now it's a different game. So call the bluff. No, bring that evidence forward. Have it examined in a court of fucking law, and then you'll see them back off pretty quickly. Sometimes, the lawyers, if there's any lawyers there, they may do the double bluff. Oh, we will, we'll serve legal papers straight away. We'll do it as soon as you're out of the door here. We'll serve those legal papers. And you say, well, fine, you do that, and you make sure that evidence is made very clear, because our lawyers will then be in touch with you, and that sort of thing. So you have to, because a lot of what the lawyers do is bluff to scare you. You might go to prison. It'll cost millions. You'll be bankrupt, be on the street. You'll be homeless. They love that sort of threats because it does scare people. But no, don't put up with it, and keep that in mind. But again, if they've got the evidence, bring it forward. Let's have a look at it. And if the evidence is compelling, well, then they've got something to talk about. But 9 times out of 10, it's all fucking made up. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.